My boss said I was replaceable. His reaction when I proved him wrong was priceless. The day my boss told me I was replaceable, he said it with a smirk so confident it burned into my skin. I had stayed late for weeks, picking up extra tasks, solving problems he couldn't even explain, and handling clients who preferred speaking to me instead of him. Yet that morning, when I suggested an idea that could help the company, he shut me down in front of everyone. "Don't think you're special," he said. "Anyone can do what you do." The room went quiet. I stood there frozen, trying not to show how much his words cut. But inside me, something snapped. Not in anger, in clarity. I realized I had given everything to a place that saw me as a tool, not a person. That moment didn't break me. It woke me up. And I quietly promised myself he would regret underestimating me. For the rest of the day, his words played in my mind like a bad song I couldn't turn off. Replaceable. He said it so casually, as if my time, effort, and loyalty meant nothing. As if the late nights, skipped meals, and extra duties were invisible. I kept working silently, but my chest felt tight. I noticed something interesting though. Many coworkers looked at me with sympathy. A few whispered, "Sorry," when he wasn't around. That told me everything. This wasn't the first time he treated someone like this. He acted like the company's sun and we were all planets forced to orbit him. But I wasn't going to stay in his shadow forever. That evening, while packing up, I opened my phone and started searching for online business courses. If I was truly replaceable here, then I would build something where I wasn't. I started taking free classes after work: branding, basic accounting, customer service management. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to create yet, but I knew I wanted out. I kept my new plans hidden. My boss still barked orders like nothing happened. Every day he threw more work my way, claiming he was testing my potential. But I saw the truth. He was using me. He relied on me more than he would ever admit. I handled clients, fixed reports, calmed down angry customers, and filled in when others quit. He would always say, "Good. That's how it should be. Never thank you. Never well done." Each day made my decision clearer. I needed to escape before I lost myself completely. And while he thought he was breaking me down, he was actually giving me the push I needed to rise. One afternoon, a client asked for me specifically. I had helped her fix an order mistake the week before, and she appreciated how patient I was. My boss overheard and pulled me aside. "Don't let it get to your head," he said. "Clients will forget you." His insecurity was loud, but he couldn't hide it. I smiled politely and went back to work. Inside, I felt more certain than ever. People remembered effort. They remembered kindness. They remembered consistency. And I was all those things. My boss thought leadership meant controlling people, but I learned from him exactly what not to be. That week, I had a breakthrough idea: a small service business I could run from home. I wrote out a plan, step by step, and realized it could work. While he thought I was replaceable, I was quietly building something he couldn't replace. I saved every bit of money I could. No more takeout lunches, no buying things I didn't need, no unnecessary trips. I needed capital. The plan felt risky, but staying under his control felt worse. The more I learned, the more I realized I had real skills. I was organized, patient, creative, and good with people. I just needed to trust myself. The hardest part was showing up to work every day pretending nothing had changed. My boss continued his usual behavior. Taking credit for my ideas, rushing me with deadlines, dismissing my suggestions. One day, he even said, "If you left tomorrow, no one would notice." That sentence surprised me, not because it was hurtful, but because it was so obviously untrue. Clients asked for me daily. Coworkers relied on me. The truth was simple: he needed me more than I needed him. My turning point came on a Friday morning. A major client had an urgent request, and my boss panicked. He didn't understand half the details, so he called me into his office and said, "Fix this. If you mess it up, it's on you." I fixed it. Of course I did. But something changed inside me. I realized I was running the real operations while he took all the glory. After work, I went home and finished the setup for my business page online. I didn't tell a soul. I posted my services quietly, expecting only a few likes. But by the next morning, messages started coming in, small jobs, but real ones. People needed help. People trusted me. My heart raced as I accepted my first paid gig. It felt like stepping into sunlight after years in a dark room. That week, my side business grew faster than I expected. I worked early mornings and late nights, squeezing tasks in between my full-time job. I was exhausted, but excited. Each new client boosted my confidence. Some were friends of friends, others complete strangers who saw my page. I realized something painful but honest. My boss didn't break me, he exposed how much potential I had been wasting. Meanwhile at work, he was getting worse. He yelled more, complained more, acted more stressed. He blamed everyone but himself. He even hinted that he might replace me soon if I didn't step up. Instead of fear, I felt a strange calm. I already had one foot out. I was no longer afraid of losing that job. I was afraid of staying in it. Then the moment came, the moment that told me it was time to go. A huge mistake happened in the system, something I didn't even handle. But my boss stormed toward my desk, slammed a file down, and said loudly, "Fix this or you're done." Everyone stared. My hands shook, but my spirit didn't. I looked him straight in the eye and said, "I didn't do this." He replied, "Doesn't matter. You're easy to replace." That was it. I went home that night and finalized my resignation letter. Not out of anger, out of peace. I already had clients waiting. I had income growing. I had confidence he never gave me. I folded the letter gently and slid it into my bag, already imagining the look on his face when he realized the truth. I wasn't replaceable. I was his backbone. I didn't wait for anyone to tell me what to do next. I spent nights building my own small consulting service. I used every skill I had learned at the company, skills they said were basic. I watched videos, took free courses, even practiced pitches in front of my mirror. I was scared, yes, but the more I worked, the less power Mr. Hollings had in my mind. I reached out to 3 small businesses and offered them something simple, results they could see. 2 ignored me, but 1 replied at midnight. They said, "We'll give you a trial week." That tiny message felt like a brand new beginning. I stayed up all night planning. For the first time in a long time, I felt alive, like I wasn't just someone's assistant, I was building something of my own. The trial week was harder than any job I'd ever done. I worked from my kitchen table with my laptop balancing on a stack of books. The client wanted everything fast, faster than my old boss ever did. But instead of breaking down, I pushed through. I created reports, cleaned up their systems, and even fixed issues they didn't notice. At the end of the week, they called me. My heart raced as I waited. Then the owner said, "You're better than the firms we've used for years. We want you long term." I almost cried. Not from the money, but from the validation. Someone finally saw my worth without treating me like a spare part. Word spread quicker than I expected. That client told another business, and then another. Soon I had 3 steady clients. I made more in 1 month than I made in 3 months at my old job. I was still tired every day, but it felt different, the kind of tired that comes from building your own future, not carrying someone else's ego. I bought a small desk, upgraded my laptop, and turned the corner of my living room into a real workspace. Every step forward felt like a small victory. And every victory made my old boss's words, "You're replaceable," feel smaller and smaller in my mind. I now knew I wasn't replaceable. I was simply underestimated. One morning, while preparing reports, I received an unexpected email. It was from one of the biggest companies in the city. Their message said they were impressed with the improvements I made for my first client and wanted to schedule a meeting. I checked the address twice to make sure it wasn't fake. It felt unreal. I ironed my best shirt, pulled my hair back, and reminded myself that I wasn't the same scared employee who once sat in a tiny cubicle. As I walked into their office, the receptionist greeted me warmly. The manager shook my hand and said, "We've heard great things about you." I almost smiled out loud. Me, the person who was once told she was replaceable, was now someone companies were excited to meet. The meeting ended with an offer I didn't expect, a 6-month consulting contract. The money was more than I'd ever earned in my life. When I walked outside, the sun felt brighter, the air lighter. I called my friend and said, "You won't believe what just happened." She screamed louder than I did. That night I sat on my couch, thinking about how far I'd come. I used to be afraid of losing my job. Now I was afraid of nothing. I had built something real. Something mine. And I wasn't finished. Not even close. 2 months into the contract, my life looked nothing like it used to. I worked from home, set my own hours, and chose which projects I wanted. I wasn't waking up scared of a cold office or a cold boss. Instead, I woke up excited, knowing my work had real impact. But the best part? My confidence had grown in ways I couldn't explain. I wasn't hiding anymore. I wasn't shrinking myself to keep a job. I was finally standing tall. One afternoon, while reviewing numbers, it hit me. I had built this alone. No one gave me a shortcut. No one handed me anything. And the person who once made me doubt myself was now nothing but a memory, or so I thought. I didn't expect to see his name again. But there it was, in my inbox. "We need to talk. It's urgent." For a second I just stared. It felt strange, like the universe was playing a joke on me. I opened the message. My old boss explained that things had gone downhill after I left. Projects were a mess, clients were unhappy, and the new hire he replaced me with had quit. He said he needed help and wanted to know if I could come in for a meeting. I actually laughed. The same man who once told me I was replaceable was now asking me to fix his problems. I closed my laptop and went for a walk, thinking about what I should do. Part of me wanted to ignore him completely. Another part wanted to walk into that office just to show him how wrong he'd been. In the end, I decided to go, not for him, but for me. I wanted to face that place as the person I had become. When I entered the building, memories came back, but they didn't hurt this time. I felt stronger. He looked surprised when he saw me. Almost nervous. He cleared his throat and started explaining everything that had gone wrong. But I wasn't really listening. I was watching his face, the same face that once looked at me like I didn't matter. Now he looked unsure, even desperate. When he finally stopped talking, he asked if I could return even part-time to help clean things up. I sat back in the chair, calm and steady. Then I told him the truth, "I'm running my own firm now." His eyes widened. He tried to hide it, but I saw the shock. I told him I didn't have time for small jobs anymore, but if he ever needed a consultant, he could reach out through my company's official email. The silence in the room felt thick. He nodded, trying to act like it didn't bother him, but it did. I could see it clearly. And for the first time ever, I felt no fear, no doubt, nothing. Just peace. Walking out of that office was the moment everything came full circle. I felt like I had finally closed a door that had been half open for too long. Outside, the air felt warm, and the world felt bigger than it ever had when I worked there. I went home and got back to work on my growing client list. A week later, I received an official request from his company, through my firm, asking for consulting help. I smiled, knowing they couldn't afford my rates. But that wasn't the priceless part. The real priceless moment was realizing that I had outgrown the place that once made me feel small. I wasn't replaceable. I was unstoppable.